Ginsberg started to write Kaddish in Paris, in Montparnasse, at the Select Cafe, and continued at the Beat Hotel and finished a year later in New York. Paris was an extremely important place for him, as you can see from the famous photo with him in his room with Rimbaud in back of him. It was a symbolic place that had nothing to do with France. It was Paris. Paris, where James Joyce had been first published in English, where Samuel Beckett was first published in English, Henry Miller was first published in English, and Apollinaire, on whose tomb he sat down to have a dialogue with Apollinaire in the cemetery of the Père Lachaise. He was extremely happy to be here, and he told me and other people many times that it was because he came here to Paris that he allowed himself to write all these things he had on his mind for several years, including the catastrophic trauma that he survived with his mother Naomi, who was a schizophrenic. Gregory Corso also wrote very important poems in Paris, including Baume, the extraordinary Calligramme, which is an homage to Apollinaire, Marriage, Police. They were very, very productive years for all of them. My friend Allen Ginsberg was an extremely active Buddhist. That might sound paradoxical, because as you know, the Zen Buddhists and the Tantric Buddhists are all for the don't rock the boat. Well, if there's one guy who really rocked that boat, it's Allen. He did it in a beautiful, dancing, funny, childish, cosmic way. Don't forget that he identified with William Blake on one hand, the great visionary poet, artist, and with Rimbaud on the other side, also a great activist during the Paris Commune. He was very interested in what Rimbaud called les illuminations, the illuminations. The poetic experience for him, and for us, why we read him, is the illumination and the freeing of all the subconscious energies that all of us have and that we keep cooped up inside of us. The poem is for him an experience of liberating all those energies. Extremely activist. Long before it was fashionable, he was fighting the nuclear industry, civil and military. Long before it was fashionable, he was fighting for gay rights. Long before it was worldwide, he was fighting for civil rights. He was a person who, as William Burroughs said, put his ass where his mouth was. Bob Dylan was a great admirer of Ginsberg, and matter of fact, Ginsberg appears in the famous movie Don't Look Back. Bob Dylan said that what inspired him when he was living in Minneapolis, and it wasn't called Dylan yet, what inspired him into becoming Dylan was On the Road by Kerouac. The way Ginsberg was inspired by William Blake and Rimbaud and Apollinaire, he inspired others. Still today, very much so, you meet young people on the road all over the world, wherever you go, that have Howl or Kaddish or On the Road or Naked Lunch in their knapsack. And you realize that there's a worldwide tribe of people who dare to live the way they feel they should live, and not the way they're told to live. That stay away from all wars, from all racism, and who need to be part of a sort of cosmic experience in everyday life, whether they write poetry or not. You can call it the Beat Generation if you want to, or whatever you want to call it. It's a feeling. It's an extraordinary solidarity of souls that goes across time, across centuries, and has nothing to do with physical or national boundaries.
Burroughs was being psychoanalyzed by one of the students of Freud.
This show is organized around a 6-hour heartfelt interview that Allen and I did in 1990 in Paris. It was the most all-encompassing overview of the entire Beat Generation from A to Z. He really said things that he had never said before, had the opportunities to develop in such a deep way. Around that we have many, many films, the ones that are sometimes seen and those who are never seen. Manuscripts, extraordinary manuscripts, including the famous On the Road Scroll, a lot of manuscripts by Allen, Corso, McClure, Burroughs, a lot of artwork. At the end of the show, there's a space with no images, just sound, where you hear the voice of Ginsberg, of Kerouac, of McClure, of Corso, of Burroughs, etc., etc. I'm hoping at that point that the people who have allowed themselves to get lost in the jungle, to experience the jungle as a poetic experience, will be able to sit down and dream and imagine the show with little bits, odds and ends of the images that they've been through. I hope that they will understand that this is a sensuous experience. This is not a college course in literature. It's a jungle in which it's best to really let yourself loose, the way the mind should be. There have been so many shows already on the Beat Generation or other themes that are turning wonderful things into boring experiences. So it's wonderful here at the Centre Pompidou, thanks to Laurent Lebon, who immediately understood what this was about, was to construct a jungle of visual images which allows for all kinds of perceptions, all kinds of rhythms, and for the visitors to invent their own show, their own experience, really. We're not asking them to swallow something that was pre-cooked. We want them to participate in the cooking.